3 or something for the valley.
Significant difference.
So you just can do a single income earner in the valley, and I think that eventually that's going to start the build.
It's just once our values increase to the point that people determine it's worth it to pay for gas, oil, maintenance, and time in the car, they'll go there for the cheaper home.
This is your president of the Anchorage Board of Realtors speaking right now, and we anticipate there being a housing shortage for the next 3 to 5 years. You need to understand that the municipal permitting office typically operates with 14 to 15 municipal employees overseeing building permits. They're at 4, one of which is always sick or on vacation.
Of course they are. Yeah.
They're at an over 20-year low of providing building permits. And here's the deal. They don't just go out and hire people. It needs to be approved by the budget, right? Which means that our representatives need to get their act together, our assembly members need to get their act together long enough to approve a budget that they all agree on, rather than fight over petty stuff. And so here's what happens. Even once they get a budget that addresses that, and then it's got to be approved, and then they got to hire the people, and they've got to train them, and then they issue the permits, and then those buildings have to be built. We're 3 to 5 years out, even getting caught up on permitting to build buildings.
Right.
So anticipate Anchorage is going to continue for the next 3 to 5 years having a housing shortage. What does that mean? Does that mean people are going to live on the streets? No. Listen, supply and demand. They're going to go where the supply is high and the demand is low. So your Eagle River, Chuyak, and Wasilla areas within the next 3 to 5 years are going to see substantial growth because they don't have permitting issues. They have land use permits.
Right.
It's much easier to build.
Totally different scenario.
And Brian Buffini has been talking nationwide for 2 years, even back in the slump. He was saying we are coming up on a housing shortage because nationwide, when the economy went down, builders stopped building. And a lot of houses that weren't selling went up for lease. So you've got a lot of inventory leased, a lot of new construction not being built. He's looking at, we're going to be hitting a housing shortage nationwide coming up soon.
Yep. So that then leads us to say, how do you run your business? What we don't want to do, we didn't have Keller Williams education when the market really started to turn. It was just sort of coming. So now we understand that we're business owners, right? Now we understand that we have to think like business people. We don't just go, wow, my business is great because today I'm really busy. We think 6 months out. We think a year out. That's how you have to think. If you think that way, you won't get complacent. I mean, you'll be grateful for the business you've got, you're going to make the most of it, but you're going to say, I'm going to lead generate like crazy. Because here's where, do you remember we always said when the market was shifting, go get your unfair share of the market? Guess what? Now's your real opportunity. What's going to happen? Because it's all about competition, right? The Olympics are coming up. You're going to hear analysis of every race, everything that happens. They're going to analyze the competition. This person's strong here. This person's weak here. This person's strong here. What's going to happen in the race? You're in a foot race. You're in a foot race right now where if you focus on listings, you will win because you'll have the deals. And if you think long term, you have a chance to really, really build your market share in a significant way. What I want you to do is build it and make it yours. Not just take what falls in your lap and think you're busy, and then when the market gives, the market takes away as well. So I'm going to be, it kind of sounds negative Nancy, like I'm not trying to be a downer at all, because I think it's great. I just really want it to be your business, because then you're in it for the long haul. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So mental shift, you've got to be really, really clear about your priorities and your focus action. Time blocking and working on your business is more important now than it ever was. Because what will happen, that's the first thing to go when you get busy. Because you're busy, right? So it's very easy to say, well, nothing's on fire, nobody's blowing up my phone, needing anything, my email's not blowing up. I don't need to take an hour to sit down and plan each week on my business. It's easy to go away. So if you can really focus yourself on putting the time onto your business, it will make your reward so much greater. So much. Like I said, for example, tracking your deals. Where are they coming from? It's going to help you do what we talked about, and we'll get into that in a couple of weeks, your budget. Very, very easy to spend money when you're making money. Did anybody notice that? The more you make, your bank account still ends up at zero. And you go, well, gosh, I made $3,000 more this month. I don't know why. Well, you spent it because you had it. Because it's easy, when there's no pain, you just, oh, I'll buy this, oh, I'll do a new marketing campaign, oh, I'll do whatever. You have to watch your bottom line even closer than you did before. Because now's the time to take that money and go save it. Go put it away, put it away, put it away. And we'll get into that in a couple weeks. The second shift is a mental shift and then an action shift. Does anybody listen to Tony Robbins in here? I love his 2 words. Don't take action, take massive action. Isn't that a powerful statement? Don't just get into action, take massive, massive action. You want to say something?
No.
You look as if you had something to say.
Tony Robbins and his CANI, constant, never-ending improvement.
Constant, never-ending improvement. This is the perfect time, because here's what's happening with your competition. They're all going to lull themselves into this mindset. I'm really busy. I got everything going on. I'm doing great. This is your chance to take their market share, because they're not going to be prospecting for listings at all. I had a great conversation yesterday in the Valley. I stopped at Kristen Cole's office for a while. Sat down with Christy Tanner, whose goal is to take 20 listings a month. You know what her question was for me? This is 20 listings a month, and granted they have to, like you said in the Valley, like Larry and Kevin were saying. This is what she asked me. I need some new ideas for prospecting for listings. When I walked in the door, you know what she was doing? She was on the phone calling her sphere, looking for listings. It would be very easy for someone to say, gosh, we're number 2 in the state. I've closed this much, or number 3 in the state, we've closed this much, to sit back on their laurels. But instead, it's how aggressive can I get on getting listings? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me tell you why this is so important, even to your current listings to go out. This is a transaction happened within the last 30 days. Called one of my sellers, it's under contract, hey, how everything's going? Do you know anybody else looking to buy or sell? I think my neighbor might be, so they talked to their neighbor about how much they appreciated me. Then I get a call from a guy across town, says he wanted to list his house, heard great things about us, and I said, who did referred you? And he goes, his name's like Greg Wilkins or something. I said, I'm afraid I don't even know Greg Wilkins. I go, I checked. And he goes, oh no, he's the neighbor of a listing that you sold. Apparently the neighbor asked him if he was interested in selling his house and gave him your number. And the neighbor knew I was looking to sell a house and said, hey, my neighbor says this guy's great. You We picked up that listing, put it on the market, and sold it in 24 hours with multiple offers, $400,000 house. And it's like,
Nice.
I spent all of maybe 15 minutes on this listing. Because I hired the photographer, everything to go out there, I had paperwork signed, they came into the office, they were in and out, house was sold like that. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. So this is where even your old touching base with your database. Had I not called them, even when they were finished, and said, hey, if you know anybody else, just make sure you get me in contact with them. And it's 3 degrees of separation and Kevin Bacon somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly. He was up 4. He was 4. Yeah.
I can honestly say that 90% of my business that I have this year has come from my lead generation and staying in touch with my sphere through referrals, through repeats, through, just like you said. I got a call one day from somebody that he couldn't even tell me who referred him to me.
Well, and so where would you,
And it's such a simple thing to do. These people appreciate you and they like you already. So to call them and say, just wanted to stay in touch, just say hi. You don't always have to ask for business. Just ask them how they're doing and see if you can do anything for them. Sometimes they need a painter, sometimes they need a deck built, sometimes they need somebody to check their heater. It's just coming from contribution.
absolutely. So what you don't know in your situation that you're sharing, here's the variable that you don't know, you just have to kind of take a guess. What would my business, if I'm Amy, what would my business be if I hadn't?
Correct?
You have no idea. I mean, there's no way to know that, but you can guarantee it wouldn't be, you're having an incredible year. I mean, you're having a phenomenal year. Where would you be had you not spent the last 2 to 3 years really focused on lead generation,
Well,
right?
and it's that mindset. I totally changed my mindset from family reunion in February to being purposeful in my business.
Yeah.
Purposeful.
You became a business owner, not just someone who sells homes. And there's a very different, It's breaking, and we teach E to P, moving from E to P and getting purposeful. That's a big part of it. So there's 2 questions you have to ask yourself about massive action. It's one question, but you break it up into 2 pieces. The question is, what do I do right now? Well, really, that's a 2-part question. What do I do right? And what do I do now? Does that make sense?
Cool.
Because doing things right, like, okay, let's take Kevin's example for a minute. I've got a listing, I've got it under contract, we're pending. I call my seller once a week and I touch base just to, good client communication skills, keeping them in the loop. That's great. He plussed it by saying, I'm going to do this really, really right, and not only am I going to stay in touch with my seller, keep them up to date, I'm also going to ask for business. That's doing it right. It's also doing it now, because when are clients the most likely to refer business to you? When they're happy. You just sell somebody's house in 5 days or less, that's the time. Because what are they doing? They're going to dinner and they're telling their friends, because they're proud of it, right? Well, we listed our house and we sold it. We had 3 offers in 48 hours. Our realtor is, Hercules. He's wonderful. That's when you ask for business, because not only do they give a referral, what kind of referral do they give? A raving fan endorsement of your business. Why do you think that trickled 3 degrees of separation? There was enough enthusiasm in it to carry it down, seller to neighbor to buddy, that doesn't even know how to spell Kevin, much less ever met him.
One thing I started doing is a little marketing, I don't know if you call it a marketing trick or anything, but the sellers love for people to know their house is sold. So when I go out to their house and it's sold, I come out with the sold sign, I get a picture of them. They take a picture of them standing in front of their house with the sold sign on it.
Yeah.
Because then when I leave, I take the sold sign with me, because I tell them I don't want anybody knowing your house is sold, because I want sign calls. So I explain that. But I take pictures of them standing next to their sign with the sold, and they're really happy. And of course then, they're sending it to their friends, they're saying, hey, look, our house sold, we're going to be moving. And they're all
Absolutely.
excited, and you just milk that for them.
I-
Here's your son.
It's what we call plussing it. We plus it. You don't just go, wow, cool, I sold the house. You go, wow, cool, I sold the house. Where's my opportunity? Where can I gain 2 more deals? Where can I pick up, one, you want to keep the sign calls rolling, because you can get a chance to, convert those. So what must be done right and what must be done now? This is, now mind you, when this book was written, it was written from the paradigm of a down market. But I want you to hear this and think about where we are today. In a shifted market, there is little room for mistakes, and that is a real challenge. The margin for error is very thin. Here's what's interesting. The seeds, there it is. The seeds of failure are usually sown during our times of success. This is when we screw it up. But we don't know that we screw it up. So again, I'm sorry this sounds negative, but I hope you understand this is me like being the teenage parent that doesn't want you to make the mistakes that we made, telling your kids, just please don't do that because it's going to hurt. I want you to sow seeds of great habits, great mindset, so that when it does turn, and it will, guys, we know that, right? We've now lived through it, we can all say it will turn again eventually. That we have a strong, solid business and we're prepared to, let's put it this way, when is it going to turn again, by the way? December 1.
Yeah.
It's going to shift. I can tell you, hands down, it will shift, right? Period. You're going to have a seasonal shift. It's probably going to be an easier seasonal shift than maybe last winter or the winter before. It's still a shift, period. So right now, you can plant some amazing seeds. I've said this multiple times, I'll keep saying it again. It's why we're bringing bold in the 4th quarter. I want you guys to blow the 1st quarter out of the market. Do you know how, let me tell you how much it shifts. Allison, how many units did we close last month?
251.
How many units did we close the month before that?
250.
What did we close in January? 110 to 118, yeah, 118.
She's a calculator.
We don't go over these very often.
Every day.
Multiple times.
And the market was
118 units we closed in January. We closed 251. Now, we don't panic because that's normal. That's how big of a shift that happens. What I would love to see is you guys close, because the board is gonna close what the board's gonna close. You get that? Whatever's gonna sell in January, that number is kind of fixed. Because who's gonna sell is gonna sell, who's gonna buy is gonna buy. What I want is your pool to be bigger. Does that make sense? Let's let somebody else starve, not you.
Unfair
Because the
share.
deals are gonna be done. They're going to be done and they're there, and there's still tons of them there to happen. I'd rather you be the ones that go get them. But guess what? If your head's not right today, you won't get them then. Because you're gonna be cruising through and then it's gonna get to January and everybody's going, oh man, I can't afford to get a family reunion, which you need. Amy, case in point, testimonial. She wasn't even trying to plug family reunion, but that was a place where she said, I'm gonna get purposeful.
I will never miss one.
You need it. You need to get the heck out of here in February. So why not get a change of environment? I mean, seriously, get some better weather, get some better climate, and go get your head reset. But I want you to be able to afford it so that you can reap the results of it March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So it's so important right now to take some time and plan for your business for the fourth quarter and the first quarter. What am I going to do to nail it? I know this number of homes is going to be sold. You can go on MLS, you can pull the stats, you can see how many sites closed in January. I didn't come prepared with that information. But you can go find it, determine how much of it do you want. Yes?
Recent coaching call, I was told to write this down. The call you make today is the referral you'll get next month. And what we do today is going to determine what we're doing in December and January.
Do you remember last year in September when Joe and I really started pushing on you guys and saying this? You know, fourth quarter, this is for your fourth and first quarter. I love what's happening now. We've closed, last night it was 148. As of last night, we had closed 148 units this month. We'll close, Casey will be slamming busy here over the next 5-7 days. It'll get crazy. We'll probably break 200 again, you know, get a really great month. We're not going to complacency. We know that's not going to be there forever. It's going to go down.
Well, you're talking about saving up for family reunion, Bullet's not cheap either.
Yeah.
So make sure to put some aside for
The other
that.
thing about family reunion, a lot of people take vacations in conjunction with maybe a family reunion or something like that. Advice on that, always take your vacation first, then do family reunion, and come back totally jazzed.
Yeah.
Because you'll
That's a
get
good point.
all relaxed after family reunion.
That's a great point. Yep, absolutely.
I'm going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, I'm going to family reunion.
There you go. And we'll meet you there. Yeah, and we'll be all pale, pasty white from eating Alaska.
And I'll
Yes.
be taking the rocket show while he's gone. Just kidding.
Here's the other question I want you to think about as well. Not just what must be done right, what must be done now, but who should be doing this? Me or someone else? Right now in this market, when you need to be, and I'll just use an example, when you need to be focused on lead generation at an even higher level than you already have, you don't need to be out taking pictures of properties.
I have a do not do list right here. This
Yeah.
is it. I'm constantly thinking, what are things that need to get done that I'm not doing? I don't have a to-do list. I have a do not do list.
You don't have to have a huge staff. You go, well, Kevin, that's great that you say that. You've got Jerry. You don't have to have a staff. There's a million different ways you can leverage out stuff. I sat and had a conversation with an agent in the Eagle River, or in Wasilla yesterday, who was sitting there. I don't even know how much time he was putting in trying to figure out how to upload his file to eEdge to get paid. I said, call Lainey, call Lindsay, for crying out loud. What do they charge to upload a file? Pay the $50 and let somebody else do it for you and go make some prospecting calls. I'd rather you take that time and prospect for listings and pay her $50 than sit there for an hour when you could have made 10 contacts.
Who does seller net sheets? Who does seller net sheets? Do you know your title company will do those for you on an adjusted HUD? You don't have to do those.
Yeah.
You do not have to take the time to take a look and look at your true little title insurance match, the purchase price, all that, half escrow, what's this fee? Go, no, I just call my title person and go, here's the purchase price, here's the property, give me a seller net sheet if I were to sell at this price. 6% commission.
Yeah, and guess what then? You're not the source either.
Yeah, and then I say, based on the title company, this is what you're estimated net. And I
What
take,
did
and
you
then if it's wrong, guess what? Well, title company.
Exactly. You're not the source. You're the
Oh,
source
there
of
you
the
go.
source.
There you go.
You always want to be the source of the source. It keeps you from a lot of ticked off phone calls. Be the source of the source. So really ask yourself right now, and again, watch your bottom dollar. I mean, protect that dollar like it is gold. So don't go throw money at, good money at bad, but get really clear on what you should not be doing. And get help. Your title company is there for you. Trust me, do you think they want your business?
What a great way to get to know integrity.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, we have a new conference room available for you guys. Totally another subject.
Really?
Integrity Title has an extra office with a round table and 4 chairs. I wouldn't put more than 4 people in there. It's a table about the size of the one in my office. But the girls are going to start, they have that on their list to help you reserve for. Janice has said, please come in, use it. We'd love to have you. Great way to, they've got title sheets there, everything. Yes.
Sorry, I really haven't been here too. Do we still have Premier Mortgage?
Yeah.
And then
This is the title
Integrity-
company.
We've just opened
I
our
saw
title.
the email on that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Mhm.
So we have 2 now?
We have a mortgage company, we have a title
And-
company.
Okay, but we've got 2 affiliations.
Yes,
Excuse me.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So are we gonna have a new affiliate business disclosure?
Good, I
Yes.
noticed this morning when I was doing that, Premier was the only one on there, so.
Yeah, you can handwrite it in.
Okay,
And I
yeah.
would, but we'll have that, we're having that read.
Sorry, yeah, that was my next question.
Department to get up.
Yeah, it has to go through step, but you can handwrite in that information. So here's my point. Yeah, great, I appreciate the plug. Great way to use Integrity Title.
And Janice is awesome.
Janice is fantastic. Get in there, but get clear about what you can pass off, right? You have a lot of resources that you can use. You don't have to be a huge team to do that.
And we have Dave Davis for photos and video.
Absolutely. We've got all kinds of stuff. So my point, what I want you to take away from today, and next week we're going to talk, and I would encourage you to be here. I think this was probably, my personal feeling was, it was one of the strongest parts of the shift class, what you mentioned. We're going to talk about margins and expenses and your budget next week. We probably spent the most amount of time on that than we did of any of the tactics, because there's some significant takeaways to talk about next week. So be here next week for that. And any thoughts or questions or ahas that you have from just kind of chatting about?
The next shift class is when, next week, or is it Thursday?
We don't know. I just did, it was a one-time deal to do the whole book, but because of the feedback, I'm going to kind of take the book and go through it again little bit by little bit in the team meetings, just to get over some of it, because I think it's just critical. Any ahas?
There is one thing that I would like, so he was talking about the positives and negatives. I was watching the news and they was interviewing one of the victims from Colorado, and he said, I really feel sorry for the shooter. To be that angry and use that much energy to hate people must be a miserable life.
Oh, that's a mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, and when I heard this, and I thought, this is amazing that it's coming from one of the victims.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no excuse for not having a great mindset. And if you need, because if you need a gut check, if you're getting frustrated or you're getting down, come find somebody in the office. That's what we're all here for. Each other, your peers. Walk into Kevin's office and say, hey, I need a gut check. Get my head right. He'll do it. And then
He'll
threaten
just give you a hug.
Yeah.
And for the mindset too, don't forget about the positive affirmations daily.
Absolutely. A girlfriend of mine just started counseling, personal counseling, and she called me the night she went the first time, and I said, how was it? And she said, it was really good, and she told me all about it. And she said, I have homework. And I said, well, what's your homework? And she told me a couple things, and she goes, this one thing I just told her, I ain't doing it. And I said, she goes, I told her straight out, not gonna happen. I said, well, what is it? She goes, I'm supposed to write down 7 things I like about myself, and I'm supposed to say them to myself every morning. And I said, why don't you want to do it? She's like, because I feel silly doing it. I feel dumb. And I said, well, would it surprise you to know that every morning I have 15 affirmations I say about myself and my business every single morning? She goes, shut up. Do you really? I was like, absolutely. I mean, it's a game changer, because you can wake up on the wrong side of the bed. You can. I know nobody in here ever does, but you could. And it'll get your head right. Yes, sir.
Well, I think it's interesting you said as soon as you said you didn't want to do the affirmations, you said, watch this, because I feel silly. I feel dumb. Is that not already an affirmation? Don't do something different, just change it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. You're already saying an affirmation. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about complacency is interesting because the business has picked up. When I was talking to Dawn, she said that she called him for sale by owner, and he said that he had had a few calls, but they were all Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's not.
Yep, absolutely.
The market's picked up. The other people are calling them.
Absolutely. You were going to say something.
We just got tour.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A
Thank you.
note about tour, We did have 2 cancellations overnight.
Because they sold.
I'm not sure.
Probably,
So
honestly.
it is, tour is gonna be fast, but still needs people to run through it so you can get through even faster and get back to
And
work.
Larry Malden has come in from the valley and put a house on tour, so definitely have to get support him and get.
I got one on tour
get
too.
feedback. Kevin's got a house on tour.
What's the
Tour
order?
forms are
Larry, you
here,
wanna ride
they're
together?
here.
Kevin and Larry and Kevin.
We can ride together, Larry.
Let's go.
We'll just run upstairs real quick.
Please don't hit
Have a
anybody,
good day.
Thanks, Amy.
run over anyone, be good.
No, did you see the email? Yeah, he's just out 3. So I think it's around 2 hours.
Bailing out of house.
Upstairs in the closet, in that back next to Jacob's office.
Cause Tim's here,
Where Beth
he
sold
just
off.
has some stuff.
Beth
He
sold
just got me last week.
Okay.
But I will go next week.
Put it on your calendar.
I promise.
Time block it.
Directly on your real estate school.
Even,
We pay them and they
Trying to recover
will,
from a cold.
they will be.
you look good, man.
Awesome. Huh?